I thought today we would do two things. We're gonna first of all start some Hanukkah songs because Hanukkah music was made for the ukulele, which I'm only half joking about. It certainly wasn't made for the ukulele, but unlike most of the music for most other Jewish holidays, which truthfully is sort of the nicer Jewish music, right? Our composers did not focus on our winter holiday in the way that a lot of Christian music focuses around Christmas, right? Instead, Hanukkah music is often folk music, which is to say that it works really well with a few basic chords on a good chording instrument like a ukulele or a guitar. So we are going to learn two songs today, at least. We're going to work on Ma'oz Tzur, which is, how do they translate that in English? Hark of Ages here, Hark of Ages?
Oh, Rock of Ages.
Rock of Ages, Rock of Ages. Yeah, of course, Ma'oz Tzur. Tzur being rock. And we are going to work on Sivivon Sov Sov Sov. If people don't know that, I think it's an Israeli kids song. It's a dreidel song. Sivivon is dreidel in Hebrew. And the kids, at least when I have them do it, I make them spin around while we do it and get faster and faster as we go until they tumble over at the end. So, you know, if you'd like to do that.
So we're going to do that, right?
Exactly. Go for it.
Just don't fall on your ukulele.
Exactly. Be careful of the uke. You know, whatever if you fall, but, you know, watch out for the, God forbid. Okay, so we're going to combine that, though, with another skill we've been working on, which is building our ear training. So we're going to start with...
Building, what did you say, Rabbi Daniel?
Our,
Building what?
our ear training. Am I hard to hear? I can turn up the volume a little.
No.
Probably me.
Let's see if that helps at all. So, let's go back. We've got a chart here somewhere, I think, that I made with this. Maybe we don't. Maybe we'll just make a new one. Okay. So, new blank slide. That'll do. Okay. So, whenever we are doing a song, first of all, it's almost always easiest to figure out the chords of whatever song we're trying to figure. Oop, nope, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Why is it showing me big? I do not know. Let's see if it'll put me in a different spot. Yep, it just doesn't like me in that corner. Okay, so whenever we're doing it, it's always easiest to start with the chords we know the best. So in this case, we're most used to the key of C. So we're going to start by writing out each of the chords we have in C so we can figure this out. C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor, and then we usually play that as a B flat and a C. There we go. It'll give us a chart. It will give us a chart, a table. Let's do it that way instead. Okay, E minor, F, G, A minor, B flat, and then back to C. Okay, so this, you know, we're familiar writing this out with Roman numerals. So we've got our I, our 1, and then our 2 is going to be lowercase to show us that it's minor. 3 is going to be lowercase to show us it's minor. 4 is going to be uppercase to show us it's major. 5 is going to be uppercase to show us it's major. 6 is going to be lowercase to show us it's minor. 7 and 8/1. Because 8 and 1 are going to be the exact same thing. Does that make sense why that is?
No.
So there's 8.
Wait, is A to C? I can't see it.
Yeah, oh yeah. Sorry, let's see. There you go.
Oh, perfect. Okay, well, now I understand.
Right, because it brings us back to the beginning, which is why we get that 1. Okay, so these are going to be the chords that we have to choose from. So what do we know about the chords that are most likely in a folk song, in a major key folk song? Which are those chords?
1, 4, 5.
1, 4, 5, and major 6 is the other one we sometimes get. 1, 4, 5, and, excuse me, minor 6, not major. Minor 6. So we bolded those. Maybe we'll underline them so you can see them a little better than the bold. Italics, underline. And let's just, to prove this to you, let's go back through a few of our songs that are in the key of C, and let's just take a look at how many of them use these chords. Is this in the key of C? It's not. Okay, here's a song in the key of C. Learning to Fly, which we haven't done in a while, right? And it's got the F, which is the 4 chord, the C is the 1 chord, the A minor is the 6 chord, and the G is the 5 chord. We've got Hashkivenu, our first song. Exactly those same 4 chords, our 1, our 5, our 6, and our 4. In fact, we have our Roman numerals above them right there. We have that in a few different keys there. We get into blues. Here we go. Adonai, prepare me. Another basic one. C, F, G. That's going to be the 1, the 4, and the 5. Right? So we get this over and over and over again, where it's the 1, the 4, the 5, and the 6. So we're going to start with Ma'oz Tzur. And let's go this way so it's faster. And we're going to figure out the order of our chords. And we're going to use this as a guide right here. Oop, nope. There we go. Okay, so let's think about this song. Do we all know Ma'oz Tzur? Is there anyone who isn't familiar with it?
Sort of know it, not really. Never sing it. Put it that way. Ma'oz Tzur.
Yep.
That's all I know.
So I'm going to pull it up right now, and I'm going to sing through it once so that we hear it. And actually, the English that people are most familiar with is not a real translation. It's a poetic, somewhat poetic translation done by Americans that has a very different meaning, which is sort of interesting on its own. But okay, it goes like this. And I'm just going to mute everyone so we don't get echoes. Ma'ozu Yeshuati Lechana Elishabeach Tikon Betefilati Visham Toda Nizabeach Le'etachin Matbeach Mitzaham Nabeach Azegmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukkah Mizbeach Azegmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukkah Mizbeach. Or the English translation that you may have encountered, Rock of Ages. Evidently there's a Christian Rock of Ages too, so let's go ahead. Or maybe a Def Leppard Rock of Ages, it looks like. Here we go. And this translation goes, just to sing it in English, Rock of ages. Let our song praise thy saving power. Thou amidst the raging foes wast our sheltering tower. Furiously they assailed us, but thine arm availed us, and thy word broke thy sword when our own strength failed us, and thy word broke their sword when our own strength failed us. Again, really not the translation, which is quite interesting and some sort of speaks to American interpretations of Hanukkah and all sorts of things there that we'll talk about in a different non-ukulele based hour at some point. But that's Ma Otsur. So is that melody somewhat familiar to folks?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So we're going to figure out what the chords are then. So feel free to unmute yourself and I'm going to move this over. There we go. Where did our text box go? Lost our text box. Okay. So we'll drop in the transliteration is where we will start. I personally find it very difficult to sing along to written Hebrew. The chords moving one direction and the letters moving the other direction does things to my mind. Okay, so make it a little bigger so we can read it. What chord do we think we start on? What'd you say? C. So almost always, if we're going to start, almost always with the chord that is the main chord of the key. So let's go ahead and put that C in and try it out. And let me swap that. Okay, here we go. So let's go ahead and look at this. So we've got Ma'oz. What do you think our next chord's going to be? Look at our big chords over here to choose from. Ma.
G on shuti, shu.
So we're going to get another word on sur. Ma, or another chord on sur. Ma'oz. Sur.
F.
So it could be F. Yeah, let's try these out. So let's start with F. Ma'oz. Sur. It's not terrible. Let's try other big options and see if any of the other ones work better. Let's try G now. Ma'oz. Sur. I don't think G works. So then our next option is going to be that A minor. Let's try that. Ma'oz. Sur. And I think that fits very nicely. That A minor right there. Do we hear that? Ma'oz. Sur.
Yeah, A minor there, you're right.
Okay. Now what comes next? Now we're going to get Yeshua. Yep, Linda, you just played it. What'd you play?
G.
Yeshua.
I think it goes G to C there.
Yeshua T. Good. Okay, and if we want to get real fancy, we can put in more movement. So we've got, from the beginning, we've got Ma'oz Sur. Yeah, and we can do Yeshua T. We can go F, G, C.
would you do that? Do you like that sound better?
You can do it either way, right? So let's listen to it for a second. There you go.
I see, okay.
Now do that same thing again, Linda, without the F. Just gives a little more movement.
More defined or something. More defined when you do that.
Okay, let's keep going. Go ahead, Linda.
What if you did, Rabbi Daniel, what if you did it G7 there instead of C, instead of G, and then you could just go F to G7 and be so easy?
So let's try that one out right there. So let's do it. Ma'oz tzur Yeshuati. And I think that sounds great. The F to G7 to C, which is such a nice chord progression on a ukulele. Larry, do you want me to pull up these chords for you? Have them up here. Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Let me just grab them from somewhere else. Here's our C. Here's our F. We need an A minor. And then a G7. Where are you, G7? You're probably with the blues. There you are. Okay. So, nope, that didn't help. So let's go ahead and look at this for a second. In particular, let's look at that G7. Let me make it a little bigger so it's a little easier to read. Okay, so go ahead and play your F chord for a second. And then look at the move to the G7. The key with the move is that index finger stays planted. It doesn't move at all. Your middle finger moves down one string, and your ring finger comes down on that bottom string, same second fret. So if that's difficult, just practice that for a moment. F to G7, F to G7, F to G7. How does that feel, that transition? Show a thumbs real quick. Feels okay? Larry, how's that feel to you? Where are you at with that?
I am still doing remedial chords, but I've made a little bit of progress, and I will work on it.
No, don't feel bad at all. And in fact,
I don't.
Good.
I don't. One of the things I did in my trip to New Jersey was retrieve my ukulele book. So
Good.
the ukulele was here, but the book was there.
The studying without, yeah. Actually, ukulele is a great travel instrument. Very easy to bring with you. I don't get nearly the dirty looks when I get on the plane with it that I do with the guitar from the flight attendants. Okay, so that F to G7. Let's keep working on that for a moment. F to G7. F to G7. F to G7. Just keep doing that over and over again. I'm going to zoom in on my fingers a little bit more. So F to G7. Should be a very easy move to G7. Now let's play your G7. Get your finger set in that G7. And we're going to go to the C. It's another really easy move. You're going to lift up your first. You're going to lift up your second. And that ring finger is going to slide up one fret. So the whole thing is F, G7 to C. F, G7 to C. So it's quite a nice move on the ukulele, that chord progression right there. Yeah, Ray.
Daniel, am I the only one that the A minor doesn't seem to me to fit very well with the tzur?
Let's hear you play it, Ray. And all of a sudden, I'm not hearing anything out of you, Ray. I don't know why.
Oh, I'm not.
I hear your voice, but it's filtering out the uke. Play it real loud.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, it's weird. Zoom is filtering out your ukulele. I can hear sort of that you're playing it, but it's not actually giving it to us. So let me show you how I'm doing it, because it's for some reason we're not hearing you. So here's how I would do
I
it.
may have confused things because I wasn't muted for a minute, but I'm muting myself again.
So Ma'oz Tzur Yeshuati, C A minor, F G7 C.
Okay.
Did that help?
Yes.
Okay, so let's keep going. Lecha. So we're still on that C. That sounds right. Lecha na'eh. So what are our choices for na'eh going to be? So the most logical guess is that this pattern is going to repeat itself, right? Lecha na'eh lishabeach. And we can do it that way, or we can skip the A minor and go to the F. Lecha na'eh lishabeach.
Why would you do that?
Why would I do which one, Linda?
Why would you skip the A minor?
So let's just listen to both for a second, okay? I'm going to sing the whole first line. Lecha. Okay, I'm going to play it with that A minor, meaning we're going to do that first line twice, right? We're going to have it there, and then we're going to repeat that exact same progression for the second half of that line. So let's listen to what that sounds like. Ma'oz tzur Yeshuati, lecha na'eh lishabeach. Now let's listen to it without the A minor and put the F in there instead.
And you're still using G7, is that right? Or you want G?
Yeah, let's use G7. And I'm going to get rid of that C at the end here too for a second. Let's see this. I'm going to put a comma after this C just to help us see that it's for the two different verses. Ma'oz tzur Yeshuati, lecha na'eh lishabeach. And sits on that G7. It doesn't resolve till the next line. Tikon. Right, do we hear that?
Is Tikkun?
Oh, there she is. Hi, Judy.
Is Tikkun a C?
Exactly. And in fact, probably we can just, let's try it out, but probably we can just copy that same line down here.
Okay.
So let's try it out with the next line together. Here we go. And we're just going to play each one a single strum to figure it out. Tikon betefilati. That sounded right. We got to adjust where these chords are a little bit. Tefilati. Visham toda nizabeach. Okay. I think that sounded right, yeah?
Well, so basically basically, when we tried to do the second line, we just didn't have the tune right. Because you're holding that G7.
Exactly. So the tune that you're singing is just a little bit different. Ends on that G7. Now, to bring it back a little bit, I know we're doing a lot of music theory here, but just as a reminder, when we've talked about turnarounds and when we've talked about seventh chords, remember that when the fifth chord in a key, and if you look over here, right, we've got our fifth chord is that G in the key of C, right? C, D, E, F, G. G is the fifth chord. When you turn the fifth chord into a seventh chord, it always wants to go back to the 1. So a G7 always wants to go to a C next. Always. It just feels like it. A G7 wants to go to C. And that's what the blues is based on, right? Is continuously resolving those.
I just don't know why. I mean, it sounds good, but I don't understand how you knew to get rid of the A minor.
You just got to listen. That's all that it is. And it's not exact, Linda. So you could have that A minor in there and it'd be okay too.
And do you like it because it's like a more steady sound? It's like the first line has more up and down and the second line is sort of a steadier sound. Is that... I'm just wondering what's in your ear that's making you like it.
The other thing is those little variations make it more interesting to listen to. Otherwise, what you've got going on is you've got the same pattern repeated 4 times. Ma'oz tzur Yeshuati, and then over again for the second half of that line, and then the next line, and then the next. Right? Instead, what we've got going on is in A, B, A, B. Okay, now if you know the melody, you know that the melody is about to change, right? Tikon betefilati v'sham toda nizabeach le'ay tachin matbeach. So it's changing here. So let's go back. Let's play that last line here to get those chords back in our head. Tikon betefilati v'sham toda nizabeach. What chord do we think we're going to next? Yeah, Judy's got it. Exactly. It's the C. Going back home. Going back home. Which is going to be pretty common when we're starting a line. Liat tachin. And what's tachin going to be? Where are we going to go next?
Are we going to F there?
Let's try that F. Liat tachin. That sounds pretty good to me. Liat tachin mat. Where are we going for bay? Judy's saying C again. Let's try out that C. Liat tachin mat beach. I think the C works there. Let's see if we can do a G also. Liat tachin mat beach. So you can do that also.
G?
You can
You're
add.
going to go to G?
So you're still going to go back to that C. But if you want to add a G in between the F and the C, you can, right? So we can either do Liat tachin mat beach, or we can add the G in. Liat tachin mat beach.
I thought the G sounded good right after the C.
Well, we're going to get another chord there. Okay. So let's go through this. You can either play the G7 in the parentheses or not. Liat tachin mat beach. That would come in right there. Now what's next? Mitzar. Mitzar is going to get a new chord. So the first question we can ask ourselves, right? We know we have 4 main chords to choose from: C, F, G, and A minor. First question to ask ourselves is, does this sound like it's going to be happy or sad, the next chord? Liat tachin mat beach Mitzal hamnabeach.
Minor.
So if it's going to be minor, our first choice is we're going to try that A minor. So let's try the A minor. Liat tachin matbeach mitzal. That's pretty good. I like that A minor there. Mitzal. And where are we going with ham?
E minor.
Oh, D minor. Let's try it. Mitzal ham. I'm not sure we're still minor. Mitzal ham. Let's try a major chord. Mitzal. So what are our three choices in a major chord? Probably a C, an F, or a G. So where do we want to go here? Liat tachin matbeach mitzal. Let's try the F. Hamna. That works. Hamna beach. And the F is going to want to go where?
To G.
To
or
G.
G7?
Yeah, exactly. So, and we can do a G or a G7, however we want to do that. Let's try that whole line and see how it goes. Liat tachin matbeach mitzal hamna beach. I think we stay on that F just a little longer. Okay. Where are we back for Oz?
Sing that line.
So let me sing both of them. Liat tachin matbeach mitzal hamna beach az egmor b'shir mizmor Chanukkah hamizbeach az egmor. So where do we want to try there? Are we feeling minor or major? Does it feel happy or sad? Any sense?
I think it's major.
Okay, Larry says major, and if it's major and we're at the beginning of a line, our instinct should be to try what first?
C.
To try C, to try our one chord, right? So let's try that. Azegmor be. And we need a new chord for sheer, beshir. What should we try there?
G.
Okay, let's try that. Azegmor b'shir mizmor. Yeah, that's pretty good. I like that. Chanu. So we need one for Chanu. Where are we at on Chanu? So what are our options going to be here? I think it's going to be major. So what are our two options going to be?
Probably F.
Okay, either the F or without even knowing anything else. What's the other option that could be here? F or what's the other major chord we might have? It would be C, right?
C. Yeah.
So the question is that we can be asking in our head, and this is just sort of a little music theory cheat. And then I'm just going to mute you while you strum. Yeah, it's okay. So when we're thinking about this through music theory, if we know we've got two spots to go to, either the 4 chord, the F, or the 1 chord, the C, does it sound more like we're going back home, or does it sound like there's more motion before we go home? Those are the real questions. C is our home. And so the question is, are we going home, or are we going for a little more motion? So let's just feel that out for a second, right? Azegmor b'shir mizmor. So here's what home sounds like. Chanukkah mizbeach. And that worked, right? Azegmor b'shir mizmor. Chanukkah mizbeach. Let's try it with the F. Azegmor b'shir mizmor. Chanukkah hamizbeach. So I think either of them works here, actually. Azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukkah amizbeach, or Azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukkah. We have a preference?
I'm trying to figure out what happens next. I feel like that would help me, but I can't quite figure it out.
So Ray's voting for the F. We're going to put the F here for now. But either works, and that's not like an exaggeration. Either chord works here. You can truly use either one. So Azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukkah amizbeach. So the F will go to the G, because we're not quite ready to resolve. Or a G7. Beach, Azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukkah amizbeach. And the second time through, it'll bring us back home.
I find that the G works, it does more resolution than the G7.
The G does more resolution than the G7? Yeah, absolutely. You can leave that 7 off too. I have the C in parentheses to say that it's the second time through that we do it. We can actually do it in music theory. That would be how you'd mark it right there with the colon to tell you it's at the end. Okay.
I have a question, Rabbi D.
Yeah.
I didn't like when you go Azegmor. I would have thought that you changed the key on more. So I was surprised that all stayed the same. Azegmor.
So,
how did you know that you didn't change that?
So you could change it. So, sometimes it helps to pluck out the melody. So I'm going to just pluck this out for you for a second. So it's Oz. Remember, that's our A string right there. Oz, Egmore. And that's A, B, C, A, B, C. That's happening right there. We know that both the C and the A are in a C chord. C, D, E, F, G. Oh, sorry, there's no A in a C chord. Ignore that. Azegmor, A, B, C. So we're ending on that C, though. So if we're ending on that C, we're probably going to be still on a C chord. Azegmor, Azegmor. But you could change there, Linda, too, if you wanted to. This is art, not science.
Did you go to A minor?
Azegmor b'shir mizmor. You absolutely could go add in an A minor there if you wanted to. Azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukkah amizbeach. Azegmor b'shir mizmor Chanukkah amizbeach. Yeah, absolutely you could do that if you wanted to. No problem. Okay.
Is that last line always repeated?
Yeah, you repeat that last line, exactly.
Would you put a symbol for that?
That's what that double parentheses here means, is that you're repeating
I
it.
see.
I can put one at the beginning of this line, too, to mark where the beginning of that is.
Okay.
And then the double lets you know that the C only comes the second time through. Okay, let's get rid of our chord chart over here so we have more room. Okay, let's try playing this, shall we? Here we go. Get into a groove. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Maozur. That's probably too fast, actually. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, Yeshuati Lechana Elishabeach Tikon Betefilati Visham Toda Nizabeach Leah Tachin Matbeach Mitzar Hamnabeach Azegmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukkah Mizbeach. That line again. Azegmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukkah Mizbeach. Okay, now I'll tell you, I heard one change that I want to make to it. I don't know if anyone else heard something. I actually want the C there on that last line, and I want to go from C to F. So we'll try Azegmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukat. And let's keep that F for the kat. Okay, how did that feel to folks?
The only thing I have a question about is that ending of how you combine the chords with the word on ha-miz-be-ah. That seems awkward to me.
It is awkward. And you just kind of got to massage it in there so that you're ending on the chord you want to end on. But let's go ahead and play through that one more time.
I like the F addition. That's nice.
Yeah, I think it adds, it makes it nice there. Okay, let's play this again. Get into that C groove. C, 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 C. Here we go now. Ma'oz zu Yeshu ati lechana Elishabeach tikon betefilati visham toda nizabeach liat tachin matbeach mitzar hamnabeach azegmor beshir mizmor chanukkah mizbeach azegmor beshir mizmor chanukkah mizbeach. Okay, how'd that feel?
Maggie, would we maybe move the G over the B so it's ha-miz-be, that you change it to G on B-E?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, thoughts on this? How did that feel? What was the experience like, sort of going through writing the chords? Was it helpful to go through and write these chords together, or should I just write them all out for you, or where?
I think it's amazing. Wait, somebody
I thought
else
it-
talk.
I-
Larry,
yeah,
you go.
I thought it was great. I thought it was very helpful.
Very helpful.
Sean didn't like
I
it.
think-
I have trouble hearing it, so it doesn't really do anything for me.
So, I took. That's a really valid perspective. I just want to start by saying that. It's a muscle to learn these things that you have to really grow and work on. There's certainly some talent involved in it. There are some people who will not be able to ever develop that muscle or not very strongly. But a lot of it is simply muscle. And that's why I started with that chart too, to remind us when we're trying to figure out a chord that it's almost always going to be the 1, 4, 5 or minor 6, usually. But yeah, totally hear you, Sean, and that's why we also don't do it for every song. But yep.
I would just like to say that I thought it was really a great exercise, and one thing, it gives me confidence each time I would try to do this. I think I'm reiterating what you just said to Sean, that maybe the first 10 times you try, but then you do it again, you're like, oh yeah, I think I heard that. I think I heard that this time. And the other thing is to realize that it isn't a perfect science, so it's not like you're exactly wrong. It's more like, well, maybe this sounds a little better, and that is makes it less intimidating.
Totally. One of the things that'll happen, you know, when you get a whole bunch of often guitar players together to play folk music, is you'll discover that people can be playing in the same key but have wildly different chords that they use at various spots, because there's a few different chords that work, but it turns out that using all of the chords at the same time does not generally work. You got to pick one direction or the other to go down. But okay, let's do this again.
I'm reminded of a quote I'd like to say: close enough for folk music.
Exactly. And you know, that's also what folk tradition is that everyone's version is a little different. I just had someone who set up a time to meet with me because they wanted to learn to chant El Malei Rachamim, and I warned them that my El Malei Rachamim is whatever I learned in rabbinical school plus 15 years of folkification, to the point where I know it's not the same as what I learned in rabbinical school. Okay, let's try this again, and let's work on our strumming. So let's start on that C and just get into a groove. So if you want to find the groove, find some multiple of 4 that goes with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's half my speed, or double it. Down, up, 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 down, up. Any of those work. 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, or 1E and a 2E and a 3 and a 4E. Any of those speeds, right? Feel free to do divide it in half or in quarters for it. Here we go.
The first one sounded like down, down, up, down, down. Down, down, up, down, down.
Yeah, so you could also do that. You could also add in a strum, right? Like, so we could add in a down, down, up, down, up, down. As long as your right hand is moving at either the same speed as mine, or half the speed of mine, or quarter speed of mine. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. And I'm going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I'm just not strumming on every one very hard, which is why you get the sort of rhythm sound. Here we go now. Ma'ozu Yeshuati Lechana Elishabeach Tikon Betefilati Vesham Toda Nizabeach Lietachin Matbeach Mitzaram Nabeach Azegmo Beshir Mizmo Chanukkah Ramizbeach Azegmo Beshir Mizmo Chanukkah Hamizbeach. Happy early Hanukkah to everyone. This is at the same spot they always are at, so that if you have that link, it is still there. I can drop that link in for everyone, though, again, if you haven't seen it recently. It's also always available at CRC if you find the event, like the calendar event on the website for ukulele, the link's always there, but here you go to the Google document that has Ma'oz Tzur. So if you want to keep challenging your ear, then what I would do is write out this song in the key of F rather than in the key of C. And then use this as a cheat sheet if you need to. But if you can do it without the cheat sheet, that's great, and then compare it at the end. So right here's what it would look like. So we're going to have, let's first go over our 1, 4, 5, 6, get it in our heads. We've got our F, we've got our B flat, we've got our C as our 5, and we've got our D minor as our 6. So, Ma'ozu Yeshuati Lechana Elishabeach Tikon Betefilati Vesham Toda Nizabeach Lietachin Madbeach Mitzar Hamnabeach Azegmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukkah Mizbeach Azegmor Beshir Mizmor Chanukkah Hamizbeach. So that would be an exercise if you want to work on your ear a little more and work on your transposition a little more. And you can always just do it straight over, right? You make that same chart that I made where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You write down your C's, you C, D, E, F, G, A, right? And then you do the same thing, except starting at the 1, you start with an F. And you make your chart down, and then you know where to substitute what. Does that make sense what I just said?
And what is this? You went down the.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to.
What is that? What is that?
Yeah, so here's a B flat.
What is
Right?
that chord?
Yep, here's a B flat, right? So this, do you see how this chord covers all the strings, right?
Yeah.
So this is a B flat. This is an A chord,
Right.
right? Because that finger is open. You slide up that A chord 1 fret, it's a B flat. You slide it up another fret, it's a B. You slide it up 2 frets there, it's a C. So you can go from B flat, the 4 chord, to the C, the 5 chord. So that's the same as a C. Right, here's a C and here's a C.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So you were at B flat.
Slide it up 2 frets, and you've got a C.
And then you went down to here.
And that's a C. And you can keep going if you want. C, D, E, F, G. Right, you're probably not going to be playing up here with bar chords on a ukulele much. But this is actually useful, right? F, B flat, C, because you're already in that position. So if your B flat is a comfortable chord, which I know it's probably not for most of us, but if it's a comfortable chord, it's really slidable. And you can even go, the one I'll do sometimes is B flat, C, and then D minor. But that's for another day.
Rabbi Daniel,
Yeah.
I just would like to put in a plug for maybe getting to do those. Remember how you